Okay, we're starting a new painting today based on this lovely image, and I'm putting on a texture paint mixture to give it a little bit of surface. And so I'm just kind of plastering this on with a spatula and giving it a little bit of texture, hair texture, because I'm actually going to make this one a little bit more relevant, texture relevant to the image. So putting hair-ish bits in there, it won't exactly follow it, it's just kind of a suggestion. So I'm putting that in and then knocking it down just a little bit so it's not too literal in your face. So that is what's going to get this one started, and I have to let that dry. So today is just the start of paint going on the canvas, so I'm not sure how much of the image you can tell. There is my face, and this is who I'm working with on this one. And yesterday I had an odd revelation as I was laying this out of how I was going to fill in around her and what the rest of the painting was going to be about. And it was going to be an old wall, but then when I was putting the books away that stacked up my projector, I found this book was one of them, and it just caught my eye, and I kind of thought, that could be kind of interesting. Patterning the lizards, I've worked with them on some paintings and they're really cool. So this guy is an inspiration, and at this point he's pretty in there as a figure, but he may just turn into the patterning, just kind of abstract, random, not sure yet. But she'll be wearing a lizard eye as a pendant, and this one is really less defined than the others have been, and really could go crazy ways. So we'll see. A little bit nervous, but I'm excited. I know it'll pull out one way or the other. I just don't know yet the absolute direction it's going to go. Day 2 of this particular project, and I'm still outlining. It is going to be a while to establish all that's going on with this lizard and all his little characteristics, and this is going to lay in all, well, right now this is laying in the outlining, but all these little marks here are his scales, skin bumps, so they'll get laid in underneath, and so then I can go over it with color, and it just becomes more of a subtle kind of situation where they're defined but not abruptly outlined when they're finished. So there's a lot of that, and I'll be probably doing it the better part of today and update you along the way. I spent most of yesterday making scales in little bitty details, and I'm way completely over it. So whether it's time or not, I am ready to block in some color. So basically I'm just going to go over large areas with their kind of base color. It's kind of golden color runs through most of the lizard's scales, at least underneath, and then changes, to blues and greens, and but this gold seems to kind of run throughout. So for the most part, I'm going to give a big swoosh of this gold fairly lightly, because I'm not exactly sure even to this very moment how much detail and distinction I want to give to this lizard and all his coloration. If it's just going to be kind of a faded in thing, if I'm really going to get in there and really work all these variations and scales. I mean, I've laid them in, but now they're at a point where they can be built up or kind of fade away as a suggestion. So that is going to be the challenge for now, and then build it up. Even her hair isn't all in because it's going to kind of overlap this guy. And this one is the most winging it one that I've done so far. And we'll see how that process goes. Just about finished blocking in all the base colors, and it's mainly washes of color to literally block in where color breaks are going to be, and underlying colors that will create a depth when the next layers go on. This is the part of the process that actually can't go fast enough for me. I know it's in there somewhere, but it's kind of messy looking now, and feeling like there's a long way to go to pull it out to my happiness. But it's better than it was an hour or so ago. And it can only get better from here. Well, I've got everything blocked in, just about, enough to see what direction I'm going in. So now I've got to go in and do the usual bumping up of the details and bringing things a little bit more forward. Although I've had people liking it in this kind of sketchy, rough place that it's in right now, I'm not comfortable about leaving it there, but I have taken pictures enough that it can be reprinted, hopefully in this kind of sketchy state. For those that like that, but I have a vision for this particular piece, and now I've got to see it all the way through. So I'm going to start refining I dig the depth of it. I would not be happy leaving it so sketch. So this one actually has a ton of buildup all up in these scales, color changes, definition. Got a long ways to go. I'm into the hair now, and I've already gotten a lot of hair texture already worked in, if you can see. So that's all kind of three-dimensional. So I'm following a little bit along that, but I'm also just letting that be just kind of a network of strands, and I'm going to probably leave quite a bit of this like open and not try to get too bogged down into all her darks and all this kind of webbing networking specifically, and let all this kind of pattern in the plaster kind of create that. So I've got a lot of these right across her face, though, that have big highlights, and those I will follow some of those and put those in. And a lot of this is going to bleed into the lizard, so I'm going to leave that until he's a little bit more done and then overlay hair. But now these ones that I've left highlighted need some definition. So a lot of these I kind of left intentionally white to start with, where they were more easily detected. Wanted them to really create that same pattern. So, that's starting to shape up. Well, I brought her to life, and I'm happy enough right now with that. And I've been debating with this element of whether I was going to put this kind of brooch that I've started with. It's essentially this frog eyeball. And so my idea is that it's going to have like gold leaf kind of setting and be camouflaged in with her hair and everything, but I've held off because I'm not sure if it's just too much to bring into it. There's a lot going on. Something's telling me to do it. So I'm going to. It would be very difficult to get rid of it if I decide to ditch it, but I just feel like there's something really cool about it. So I've already gone against the wishes of many to keep this one simple, but now I'm going way off the deep end with this. So I'm just going to start like I've been doing and get these elements in to start with and get it shaped up. And then I'm going to add, I think, a little bit more plaster to build up the area that's going to end up being in the gold leaf. So that's where I'm headed today. I guess I'm just basically avoiding a lizard. There's just so much to do to him. I'm not ready. I put some caulk around the pendant eyeball to give the gold leaf some texture when I get to that place. And I wanted to do that before I got too involved in the eye, which is probably a mistake, but I wanted to be able to kind of feel where I was going with it. So in the meantime, when it dries, I'm forced to work on the lizard, but something really cool starts happening with my brush that just decided to make a scale shape when I start painting. And so it's creating this texture already. And so where I haven't worked my butt off to draw in all these lines, I'm just creating more of a suggestion of the scales, which is honestly kind of working better than drawing them in. And this area, as I'm getting super detailed with the rest of it, I've been again debating whether this lizard was going to be like really worked to that degree, which I really, really like, but is also a bit overwhelming with detail. So my thought was, as it gets down into this area, becomes much more of a vague texturing and blending of colors, so it's a bit more of a blurred situation than so distinct. And with this little trick with the brush, it's actually working really, really well. So I'm just kind of going around and dotting with it and creating suggestions of scales and rolls and folds. And I mean, where I've already got this creation, I'll build that up. But down and around here, I think I'm just going to leave it pretty loose and just layer, layer, layer textures and colors, and see if I get that sense that I'm after, where you kind of feel lizard, but it's not like way in your face. I think it's going to work. I think it's going to be pretty cool. And I really like the eyeball already, and I'm still debating whether it's too much, but it's there, and I think it's going to work. Like, or at least be a really cool element, so you can't make it not work. Well, the pendant got ixnayed, vetoed online, so people were afraid of it and such. So I'm actually going with their suggestion, as I was kind of debating it my own self, but I liked it once I got it up there. It still was, I was still wondering if it was too busy. Apparently it was. So I didn't question it. I'm just going over it, starting again. So anyway, you win some, you lose some, and luckily it's just paint. Today is D-Day. I am finishing this lizard. So today is all about filling in spots that I've left to be overlaid, like the hair, filled in the back area, and now coming back over and bringing the hair down over the lizard body, filling in white spaces or leaving them, adding white highlights where I've kind of filled in too much, and just making that definition. I've been defining these scales more, and the horns. This one I'm kind of leaving this more interesting, like against white background, kind of primarily because of this t-shirt idea that I'm having, and I think she'd make a hot t-shirt, and as I'm watching the process, laying on a white background sure does make things a lot easier to deal with in that realm. So that's where I think this might be going. So I'm going to leave a lot of this rough, unfinished area to the edge, kind of as a fade out, bleed out, like down in here, instead of getting it totally refined looking. And everyone seemed to really like this one as a unrefined piece, so I'll leave part of it in that state. But I better pay attention to myself doing that, because I tend to really get into refining. So this is going to be just bits of darkening, bits of overlapping, so that the pieces actually join together and it's not two separate entities, but now they're kind of in that background, coming foreground, and all that.